Balancing the Tinder project with fatherhood. What's the weirdest thing our partners say about us? And can you help yourself fall in love? We'll see you right after this. G'day and welcome to the Tinder Project, the podcast where a straight Aussie man attempts to survive 365 days dating online as an American woman. I'm your host, Mark Rosenfeld, Australia's dating coach for women. I'm here with my sidekick, self-love coach, Teal Elisabeth, and together we have one mission: to make meeting good men fun and easy for you. Let's give it a whirl.
Mark, hi, so
Hello.
good to see you.
You too. I've never seen you in blue.
Believe me, I have a whole realm of colors, although I do gravitate towards maroon a lot.
Do you actually? That's you may not know this about Australia, but our football team, which is the kind of top rivalry in Australia, is Queensland versus New South Wales, and the
Yes.
maroon is our team. So we can get behind that. Shout out to the Queenslanders out there who might be listening. Yes.
Aw, how are you doing this week, Mark? How have things been going?
You know what? I had a little bit of a rough week or rougher week with the Tinder project. This is a big goal, and I think over the holiday period, it really hit me how big it is. Every day, even if you're not feeling great, even if you don't feel like it, even if something gets in the way, my goal is to do this every day. Now, there's no guarantee that I'll achieve that, but we're over 190 days in now, and we're kicking along. So we're doing well, but yeah, I think balancing it with the fatherhood thing over the holidays. I did all my calls at night, Teal, so after everyone went to bed. And yeah, it kind of caught up with me. I got a little rundown. I think I did the calls from 9 to 9:30 or 9:30 to 10. And baby's waking up, I'm getting up early, and obviously I usually do the calls during the day, usually do the Tinder project during the day. And yeah, there was a couple of days there, Teal, I'm not gonna lie, where I went, oh, this is whoa, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. Do I really have to do this tonight? Do I really have to log on tonight? And I know I don't have to. I always have the choice, but I don't know. Something got me through there. I didn't want to come and face you, Teal, and say that I dropped the ball. My
Well, you know
accountability
what?
buddy.
I really admire your determination and your tenacity of following through and sticking to your goals. Like you have truly shown me that. And I also do think that we can walk our talk of what we're talking and teaching all of our ladies. And if you're not feeling it, don't push through, right? It's all about the energy that we're bringing to this experience.
It is true. It's one of those things where I don't know. I'd be curious. Does this differ from men to women? Because I will say that I used to coach a lot of men. I don't coach that many men anymore. I will say, Teal, and maybe I'm sexist or biased, I don't know, you tell me. I will say that when I work with men, in terms of the consistency stuff, I push them a little harder. And I will give them a little bit more of suck it up. Whereas, and I think there's a biological basis for this. Women experience negative emotions bigger, more frequently, more intensely than do men. So it's not saying the same thing to tell a woman to push through as to tell a man to push through. I'm generalizing here, but if we know that to be true, when men have a little bit better ability to compartmentalize, whereas I think I don't know. Tell me if you disagree, but because women experience negative emotions so presently, and especially with our work that we do, where it's really connecting with those emotions, I think working with women, I would be more likely to tell them to take a break, you know, trust your feelings more, whereas maybe not so much with a man. Am I biased and sexist?
No, not at all. Well, I don't think allowing men and women to be different has to be then correlated with being biased or sexist. I think men and women are different. We are a different species in a lot of ways.
No, I agree.
You're right. We do operate very differently. And it's been something I've been consciously working away from for many, many years to not push through when I'm not feeling in alignment. And there is a trickiness and a finesse again to that experience because sometimes, if you were to just really follow through and be so in your feminine all the time of I don't feel like working ever, then nothing's ever going to get done and we can't be
Yeah.
fully in that. But at the same time, I think for a lot of women, we have been so conditioned to operate in this masculine driven world of you
Yeah.
just shove it down, you push through, you just
Yeah.
burn yourself out, that it's not healthy. And so I
Right.
think there is a balance.
I have a question on this then. So would
Mhm.
you say, from everything you just said, that suck it up, push it through, grind on, would you say that that is more damaging to women than men?
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to know the man's experience. I think in general, though, we are human, and humans all have a nervous system, and nervous systems get burnt out. So I would say no. I think it's pretty relatable for both. And hearing what you're experiencing too, pushing through and grinding it out, even though you've been having lack of sleep with your little sweet baby. Just because I'm a mom and you're a dad doesn't mean that you should push through and I get to take a break and let things slide. I think we both need to give ourselves that grace and compassion when things are difficult.
I will say the one thing I've seen, I don't know if you recognize this, is when I get new clients on and I ask them, do you want me to be Mr. Supportive Coach or Mr. Challenge Coach? I notice the women more often pick either support or mix of both, whereas a lot of the men lean towards challenge. And that's probably my anecdotal experience and why I say that.
Yeah, no, I think there is some truth to that. But I think what I'm hearing is one is how they want to be supported versus their relationship that they're having for themselves, right? What you're talking about is you've been feeling like you've had to push through on yourself and wanting to let go on your own boundaries and things, right? But if we're talking
Yeah.
about having a coach, then a coach is going to treat that very differently. But I think when we're building a relationship with ourselves, I think we're usually too hard on ourselves. We push ourselves too hard with our expectations.
Yeah,
So,
and do you know, we do that for a good reason. It's because with regards to ourself, we want to be, we want to perform, we want to be the best person we can. And so we tend to hold ourselves to a higher standard, whereas with others, often we have more of a sense of compassion because if we literally treated others, evolutionary speaking, the way we treat ourselves, we probably wouldn't have any friends because we're extremely judgmental on ourselves. So we'd project that out, be judgmental on others, the whole tribe would be disconnected. So there is actually a precedent there for being nicer to others than we are to ourselves.
main takeaway is cut yourself some slack.
Cut yourself some slack sometimes. Yeah, give yourself a break. Teal, we had a question from one of the listeners, and I want to throw this to you first, just because I want to hear yours first. What is the weirdest thing about you, according to your partner? What does Spencer have to say about this?
Our listeners want to know, huh?
I want to know as well, actually, because Spencer's got the inside goss on you, and
It's true. I
I
come off
could
as
I
this
could get the
perfect
glitzy
person.
version. I could get the version where you can cover up, but Spencer will tell the truth. So, what's the weird thing about you, according to the man that knows you best?
Oh my gosh, I know. I adore him so much because I have so many little quirks, as does he. And you just accept these people for who they are. The one that he specifically referred to, he says that I have, what was his exact wording? An extreme optimism for recycling.
I think I have that too. Go on. I'm curious what your definition is.
And it's interesting because some of it comes from like our family dynamics, which has been really highlighted being home and visiting family. His mom like tosses out any like food related, tosses out anything at the first sign of like an expiration date, hinting that it could be bad. And my mom, on the other hand, will literally cut mold off cheese and keep eating it. So this
I
is
love
something
that.
we get into a debate about a lot. And this isn't recycling, this is more reusing and saving.
Food
But
wastage is a real compatibility issue. You don't realize it, but it can, yeah.
I will get so pissed at him because he will open up a new box of strawberries, when there's still an old box of strawberries in the fridge. And I'm like, eat the old ones first. And he's like, well, I want the new ones. And apparently, growing up, his mom would always say, oh, no, don't eat the old ones. Here, have the new
Oh,
ones.
that's so interesting. I'm so with
Which
you. It's like eat the old ones.
eat the old ones, clean out the old first before you open the new. So, and I'm always on the other end eating all the scraps and all the leftovers and cleaning out the fridge. And then I'm like, how come I'm the one kind of being left with all the shit here? I'm supposed to be the queen here.
Queen eating moldy strawberries. It's not working.
How come he's getting the new strawberries and I
Yeah.
eat the old ones? Because I value this more than he does. Damn it!
I will
But
not waste food. I will not waste food. I will not
I
waste
will
food.
not
Just
waste
sitting there
food.
eating moldy strawberries just to avoid wasting the food.
But actually, that's not what he was referring to. That is one of the quirks. But the real quirk he mentioned was a very weird experience that I shared with him. We were back in my hometown in Santa Barbara, California, near my hometown. I went to school there. And I was telling him at this exact beach that we were visiting back in college, it was the weirdest thing. I was surfing and I got out of the surf and there was this pile of clothes on the beach and a suitcase. And literally, a suitcase had like exploded somehow, somewhere. I don't know if it was right off the beach or if it had come from a distant land, but there was a
Well, like it fell out
suitcase
of a plane. What do you?
or fell out of a plane or a boat. But there's a suitcase washed up on the beach and this whole big pile of sandy, wet clothes. And for some reason, I was like, perfect! A new wardrobe. And I literally scooped up the whole bag, or not bag, the whole like pile of wet, soggy clothes. I was on my bicycle too, and I had my surfboard. So somehow I carried my board, this thing of clothes, and my bike, and biked home to my house, and threw the whole thing in the washing machine.
That's
I
so
swear
funny.
you, I kid you not, every single piece fit me. They were all women's clothes.
No
They
way.
fit me. There were
It
pants.
was
There
like
were
a gift
shirts.
from God,
It was
throwing a
literally
suitcase out of the sky.
a gift from the ocean. I was like, well, thank you, universe, for new clothes. And I was in college and I was being thrifty and I was like, sweet,
That's
great.
amazing. Yeah, I love that. I love that
So I
about
was
you.
telling him
Okay.
this story and he was just appalled, absolutely appalled. Um, but I think also just very endeared as well. Just that this is one of my quirks is that I have an extreme optimism for recycling and reusing.
Do
Yes.
you still have any of those clothes?
I mean, no, that was like 15 years ago. So I've upgraded
Okay,
my
you've moved
wardrobe
on since then.
then.
Okay, so we've done a
Now I
little.
wear blue sweaters.
Now we
Yes.
wear blue sweaters. Gotcha. Very nice. Okay, optimism for recycling. So I asked Sam, and she said, "Okay, where do I start?" Um, the first one is a sin I committed recently, where I was standing in the kitchen, and you know how you have those moments where you're with the other person's family, and suddenly everything stops. Everyone's looking at you, someone drops a knife, a baby cries, and tumbleweed blows across, and that's the only sound that happens. Well, that occurred recently when they bought bagels, and I decided to bring the Aussie side to New Jersey to these fresh, lovely bagels and put Vegemite
Vegemite.
on the bagels, which apparently is a cardinal sin, and the family has not looked at me the same since.
What?
So she said that was one of them. The other one, which she said, she has, Mark, you have an incredibly frustrating aversion to warm clothes. So I am that guy where it's -5, which is Celsius, -5 Celsius, I mean, which is, I guess, 30 or 40 or something Fahrenheit. And yeah, I'm that guy that's like, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt and it's kind of cold out. And why am I cold? Why am I cold? Oh, the jacket thing. I just don't do that. But I don't have that impulse to put it on. And I don't know, Teal. I like fewer clothes. As few clothes as possible when I can. Obviously, you gotta dress up for work and that sort of stuff. But when I'm on my own time, I prefer to be wearing as few a layer of clothes as possible, and it infuriates Sam.
Is it just the feeling of not liking clothes on your body, or is
Yeah,
it just the annoyance of having to put on a jacket?
it's the I don't want clothes on my body.
Wow. So if you had it your way, you would just be a nudist. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, I mean, but maybe some board shorts, everywhere.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure she's not complaining too much for that, for her own sake.
I mean, that's just maybe. I I don't know. It depends on the day, Teal. Very much a mood-based thing, that
How
one.
many burritos you've been
Um,
eating?
how many burritos have I eaten? Do you know what I used to when I was in college? I ate about a loaf of bread each day. That was my average.
Oh my
That
God.
was my average. I would have 6 pieces of toast for breakfast. I'd have 2 sandwiches for brunch. I'd have 2 sandwiches for lunch. Then I'd usually have a sandwich before dinner, a real dinner, and then 4 pieces of toast before bed.
Stop it.
Yeah, that
Were
was my
you
bread
like
intake.
bodybuilding? Were you working out a lot?
I was working out a lot, but that wasn't really why. It was just a affordable meal for someone who liked to eat a lot.
That is a lot of food.
It was
In your younger years, you can get away with that,
a lot
right?
of carbs. It was a lot of
That
carbs.
is a
It was good.
lot of carbs. Oh my gosh. I love that. I think that's hilarious.
All
Well,
right,
let's see
Teal,
that.
on a unrelated and much more relevant to our listeners' topic, I want to know. A client asked me this, and she said, "Can you talk about this with Teal?" I said, "Brilliant idea. I love this. Can you help yourself or make yourself fall in love?" Now, before we go too far, the context of the question is, look, I meet a lot of men. I see a lot of men, whether it's online or offline. I think it's especially online where there's, your brain's trying to skip over stuff. But in general, Teal, you meet someone, he's respectful, he's solid, he ticks the boxes that you put on paper, and it seems like he is very different from maybe an unhealthy or toxic person you have dated in the past. It's the kind of person that your mum or dad would say, yes, be with so, or your best friend would say, yes, be with someone like that. You're just not feeling that attraction, that sort of chemistry, that pull. Is there any way to help yourself feel it? That's my question to you, Teal. Very curious.
Hmm. I think I know what your answer would be here to this. But
Do you? I
um,
don't. So that's good. I was going to answer after you and feedback off of your answer. Um, no, I'm
well,
curious.
well, what I was gonna say is what you were probably gonna say. What
What?
you were probably-
What's this podcast now going to be? What would Mark think that Teal would Mark would say about a topic? Mark, what do you think Teal's opinion would be about your opinion on a topic?
We're really
Far out.
reaching here for these
Oh
subjects now,
God, I'm
aren't we?
confused just listening to myself. Jesus.
Well, the first thing that came to mind was, I guess I'm knowing you well enough now that I can hear your voice in my head. And you would probably,
Jesus. Are we at that stage? Right. Okay.
that you would probably, now I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, wow. That's how you build an audience up and leave them there with no drop. That's the podcast equivalent of when the DJ's he's going up and up and up and about to go to the drop and then the music cuts out because someone kicked the cable. That's what
Okay,
you just did to our audience.
gotta keep it light and fun and
You go, oh, okay, yep.
little
That's
mystique in the audience here.
all right.
No, I
What do
think
you think I would think?
what you would probably say to this is that if everything's lining up and you're just not feeling it, first look at where might you be trying to sabotage this and like have your own blocks coming up, maybe from past traumas or past things that are trying to purposely push away something good. Is that something that you would say? I feel like that's something you would say because
Um,
things if this guy is literally just a walking amazing masterpiece and you're just like, I'm just not that attracted to him, does that actually say something more about you than it does actually about them?
So I've seen both sides of this, and I've seen mistakes on both sides of it, which is why I think it's a hard one to advise people on. We had a good discussion last podcast about the traffic lights and about the feelings relating to your vision that I thought was really good, because I've honestly seen both. Teal, I've seen women try to convince themselves to be with the logical guy where it's maybe the one their parents wanted. It's the person that was never actually aligned with them. It's the one that society says they should have. And truly they've maybe tried it for years at times. I met one woman, she said, I tried it for 15 years. This guy was always so good to me. I tried to love him and I just couldn't do it. And then often what happens after that is they kind of escape that and they want to go to the most toxic guy they can find because it's so exciting. So I've seen where people try to force a square peg into a round hole. And I've also seen times, as you say, where it's like you could put the healthiest, most attractive person in front of a woman and she will just turn the other way and find, the fuckboy in every room. So I've seen both. And individual context does play a big part here. I think you've really got to be honest with yourself and have a look at, okay, I always like the idea of attractive, not obsessive. So it's that simple thing of, am I getting the crazy butterflies where I'm obsessed with them and think about them all the time? No. Well, that might be a good thing. And you might not be used to having a love that's actually healthy, because a love that's actually healthy doesn't feel like that. It's kind of like Pretend you grew up in a busy kitchen where pots and pans and clanging and, blah, 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 everything's so busy. And then someone puts you in a library. It feels wrong, right? All you want to do is throw a table up in the air to make it feel normal. So there's an element of our nervous systems can sometimes be adjusted to a hyperexcitable state. And then we put you in a healthy relationship and it doesn't feel right. So I think you've got to kind of take a good, honest look if that could be going on for you. At the same time, forcing yourself to try to be with someone who's like a 3 out of 4 that is in no way, shape, or form attractive to you, even if maybe a little bit of disgust is coming up as an emotion for you, that's really difficult. I have a couple of little things clients can try on this, but in general, if your body is rejecting someone, I think it's really hard to correct for that.
I couldn't agree more. I love everything you said there. And I've had that exact experience happen before I met Spencer, where it was like we aligned on everything and the communication was so good and we were like made each other laugh and we felt like we were becoming best friends, but I just couldn't get myself to feel physically attracted to him. And he wasn't an ugly guy and he was tall and he was, outgoing and all this stuff. It just wasn't there. And I had to break up with him for that exact reason. I'm like, I'm sorry. He would lean in to kiss me and I'd go, "Ugh." And that's not a good sign.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because smell is a big part of this.
And that's what I was going to go to next.
Yeah, you're going there next.
The pheromones. I really do think the body is giving us indicators for not just attraction levels, but also like compatibility in giving offspring. It's weird to say. I think our body is communicating to us the types of partnerships that we want to be in on so much more than just a mental level or of like a spiritual level, but also on a physical level. And, I think I loved what you were saying about not becoming obsessive over the attraction piece and that feels very different than the actual just general attraction of compatibility and being with someone on all levels. I had a girlfriend who was constantly telling me about guy after guy after guy after guy that she was attracted to, that she was meeting and dating. And it was always related to, first off, how hot he was, how gorgeous he was, how big his abs were, all this kind of stuff. And it's like that level of attraction is so surface level. To me, there's so much of a depth to attraction that is not just about the looks at all. And she recently just met someone that I think is the one. And she didn't talk about his looks for at least the first 15 minutes of us catching up. And I was like, what does this guy actually look like? So that to me was a huge indicator of a difference of, like you said, that kind of maybe whether it's obsessive or just not real attraction on the level that we need for compatibility.
I like everything you said there. What about online where you haven't had a sense for someone's smell yet, you haven't connected with them? How would this apply there where you don't really have a sense for someone as you would with this guy that you gave the example of?
I still think our intuition is picking up on so many nonverbal cues, even if we're not smelling them, as weird as that sounds. That's gonna be the next thing on the dating profile.
Yeah. What do you smell?
Just push a button and it'll
yeah, you can put like a smell sample into your phones. That'll be like the Apple 45.
Can you imagine?
You can have a smell
VOs just like coming out of your phone.
Pretty sure there's reality shows where they've done that, where they've given smells to women and been like, which smell do you like? Anyway.
Yeah, they've done it with t-shirts, I think, where men will wear t-shirts and then you smell the t-shirts. But anyways, please, I hope that does not become a thing on dating apps. I still do think that our mind is picking up on lots of nonverbal cues, even if we're not having little opportunities to smell these people. Hopefully that doesn't become a thing. Phone.
Wouldn't that be great tech? iPhone 45 now comes with a smellometer that you can smell whoever's using the phone.
This little poof of BO as you're like swiping right. Oh my God, please no. But no, your mind and your spirit is always picking up on the nonverbals. And I think you've referred to this so many times, that the pictures can say so much just in your body language I think even just looking into somebody's eyes, you can see so much about who this person is. So I don't think you need all those I don't think you need yeah, the pheromones to be able to fully establish it. But it's baby steps.
Okay.
Right? It
And
starts.
one last question on this, because I'm curious. How do you balance that with giving people an honest chance? Everything you said just then.
It's going to be filtering. It's going to be like you're doing, like you're exactly demonstrating through this whole Tinder project. You
Yeah.
start with the numbers, right? You go through lots of people. You get a certain amount of those people onto the phone. From the phone, you get to hear the voice. The voice registers with the psyche. The psyche either gives you green light, red light. Then you go to the in-person date. Your body sniffs them out, gives you the next green light or red light.
Come here. I need to
I
smell
think
you.
this is becoming a lot more
I'd be
scientific
like,
than we
if a
think.
woman said that to me, I'd be like, all right, guess we're getting
Oh
close
my
now.
God.
There you go. I
What if
put
we
my
just
cologne on, so we're good. We're good. Come smell me.
Mark, I think we've just cracked the code on dating. I
Have
really
we?
do. I think, guys, everyone on the internet, be prepared. We've just cracked the code on dating. It's called sensory dating, and it's going to be a thing.
It's
Start out with the eyes and the visual aspect, green light or red light. Move to the voice on the phone, green light or red light, hearing. Move to the in person with the nose, green light or red light.
3 green lights, you marry them. Simple as that.
Then you go into the sexual piece and the
Oh,
taste
hello.
piece.
Oh, hello. That escalated. Wow.
Green light or red
That
light.
got
I think
fun.
you're hitting all the bases
All
there.
the senses are taken. I
All the
love it.
senses.
So, no, I like that. And I think, especially online, that the temptation is, because many of our clients are overwhelmed with matches as well, is, all right, I've got 1,000 or 5,000 or 500 matches here. So we go very narrow to begin with, and then we go long after that. So we really sort of strict at the start, but then once we connect to someone, maybe we're not as strict. I like to encourage clients to go the other way around. So be a little wider, more open at the start. I see if clients can get over 15, 20% of the profiles they look at, they have a chat to. That's a good ratio. 20% is like my favorite, but if a client's getting under 10%, as in they're talking to less, chatting to, just chatting, giving a chance to chat to less than 10% of the guys that they're coming across, that to me is a problem. And if that's happening on every app, maybe it's one app, okay, there's a bad app, I go to another app, I'm hitting 15, 18%. But if every app you're at 6%, yeah, that's kind of a problem to me. I think you got to at least, you would never behave that way at a party. You wouldn't talk to, oh, I'm only going to talk to a tiny amount of people at a party. So apps are about meeting people. You wouldn't do it at a party. Don't do it online.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think we got two really good takeaways from there. I love that you have actual statistics that women can really just gut check for themselves. Am I being too selective, or am I giving people a chance? And try out sensory dating. See how it
That's
goes.
a true day. And I just want to add actually a third, just to finish, because this sometimes helps clients. You go on that first date or that first phone call. If you're not sure, on a scale of 10, if it's a 5 or a 6, if it's kind of in the middle, give it a second chance, is
Yes.
my guide. Because it might become a 5.5, then a 6, then a 6.5. Connection can grow. Sometimes people are nervous and awkward on the first date. If it's a 4 or below, it's probably a lost cause. But even like a 4.5 maybe, but if it's like a 5, 5.5, see the person again, give it a chance, because you never know what can grow from that.
Love it. Love it. All right,
Teal,
Mark. Well, I hope you get some more sleep today.
it's been a pleasure. Are you going to wear blue sweater again next week?
No, I'll mix it up. I gotta keep
No?
it.
Finished the episode disappointed. No worries. Guys, thanks so much for joining us, Teal. It's been a pleasure. We will see you